Welcome back everyone for another fun retro restore where we're going to be restoring this Game Boy Pocket. Now one of the things I always like whenever I pick up consoles and games and all that from people is kind of hearing the stories about it, and the guy I picked this one up from, this was his favorite console as a kid. He was kind of hesitant getting rid of it, but it did not work. It took a while of cleaning it. I was finally able to get it working, but like it's missing the battery part in the back, some of that label is messed up, and the display quality is not that great even when adjusting the contrast on there. The speaker works well though, so we're going to have fun by putting on a new shell. It's all wrapped up in here, but we have a new display. A nice little screen to go on there. So this Game Boy Pocket will be fully brought back to life. Now I will be putting links in the description of where I got all this stuff. All of this was through Handheld Legend. And one of the things when you get a new display through them, you have to test it. So we'll go over that process first. So what we'll do to start this process is remove our 6 tri-wing screws. If you've seen my other videos, you know tri-wing screws are my enemy. Then with those 6 screws removed, we'll just pop the back off. The next we'll remove these 3 Phillips screws. Then with those screws removed, grab a little tool or something where you can get this screen part popped up. You just want to lift up each side of this carefully and then remove the screen ribbon cable, just like that. Then you can lift up this board and move all that stuff out of the way. So what we're going to want to do for testing this is take the back part of the shell again, just kind of keep it close there. We have our new display here. It's the funny playing display, so go ahead and pop this out of here. Now you carefully take the display and put that inside of this little area here and then close those off. Then the exciting part, you get to do a little bit of soldering. I'm going to turn my fan on here. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses and have some sort of ventilation fan for when you're doing soldering. Just make this easier, just going to put a little dab right here next to the power area. And then the little wire that it came with, you'll want to get that hooked into that solder. Afterward, just apply our final little bit of solder on there. Then the other end of the power wire, you want hooked into right here where there's a 1 on the board. So if you look there at the power assembly, there's a 1 on there. You want to be careful to not bend this cable, because through Handheld Legends, you have 30 days after you order this. You can test out the screen and everything, and if something's defective with it, then you can always return it. So we're hoping nothing's defective with this. We'll add a little extra solder here to the 1. So we got our wire soldered in place right there on the 1, and then it connects to this little power spot right here. So then what we'll do is take the back shell and then flip it over, get the battery spots aligned back in there, and then plop that on in like that. Now if you have a power supply, you can actually use that instead of doing it this way, but just wanted to kind of make it a little easier since this is a metal case that this game's in. Didn't want it touching any of that stuff. So we put that in there, then we'll put the batteries back in here, and then flip the power back on. Be careful with all this. And then they recommend leaving this on for about 10 to 20 minutes just to make sure everything's good. You want to look for if there are any dead pixels or just any other types of issues that are going on with the screen. Which so far it's looking good, but I won't make you sit through 20 minutes of this. So I've actually allowed this to run for about 30 minutes and everything seems to work really well on it. So we're not going to have to send it back. So I'll go ahead and get it all turned off and everything, and then we'll move on to the next step. So one thing I do have to note here, the instructions online for this don't really cover this. There's this little piece where they say there's another solder spot, which this is a newer version than what the documentation I can find online shows. So this is supposed to solder over to the side, but these new ones have this part right here, which will just attach to the top with that double-sided tape. And what that is, that's what you'll be able to tap to kind of change the screen. So we're going to take our new shell now. We'll pop this open, and luckily new shells always like coming with new screws, so definitely happy about that. Oh, these are just brand new tri-wing screws. Oh well, I'll deal with it. So then what we will do is start putting the buttons in this part, then put our little silicone things in place. Then the display came with a little adhesive part that we're supposed to use to get the screen in place. And make sure you have this lined up correctly. So if you look at it when this goes in place, it has a little cutout for the LED area, and then it has little cutouts where the screws are. So you want to make sure it gets lined up on those spots correctly. Then we pop the center out of it, and then remove the part of the adhesive that's going to go down onto the front of the screen. And then we will apply it down to here. I'm always bad at this part. And not the 90s sense of the term bad, like with the Power Glove. So seeing from the front, that actually looks pretty good. So then what you want to do is remove the screen protector on the front of this. Just grab that little tab and pull it. And then remove the top part of the adhesive here. Find a spot where you can get to it and then start pulling it up. And there we go. So make sure this little tab is still sticking up, doesn't go under the screen or anything. Then you want to kind of take it like this and then start like in the top corner up here and match up the corners on this side, and then it will lay right in place. Don't apply too much pressure, just enough to make sure that it's stuck on the tape under there. Now if you are placing a bigger screen like this in an original shell, you do have to do some modifications to the shell. Then if you're worried about it, you can cover this with like captain's tape or something, but nothing here should be able to touch anything on the board that will cause any issues. Then you just kind of lay this down, make sure the speaker's in place. Then take the power toggle, just get it aligned on the button up here, test it out and make sure that it moves back and forth. Then make sure it's in the off position, which would be the furthest over towards that side of the shell as you can get. Then our little tap sensor, if you remove the tape from the bottom side and then just kind of curve it under so it's attached to the top part of the shell here. Okay, so we have that off. We'll just get that curved on under there and then gently push it against the top so it sticks. Then pop open your bag of brand new screws. Find the 3 Phillips screws in here and then put the screws back in these 3 spots on the board. Then after those are in, take the back of the shell and slide it on over everything. And then if yours came with these terrible tri-wing screws, get those all screwed in place. There's one in the top here, one will go here, one here, and then there are 2 in the battery area. Then with all those screws in place, what we'll do is get our screen cover on there. So it doesn't look like any dust got on it, but a lot of times I'll use a little can of air and just quickly spray the screens off, just in case a little bit of dust got on them. Then with our cover, so you just pull on this little brown tab to get that part removed. Then take the tool and get this white part removed. But be careful not to scratch the screen, which this is tempered glass, so it should be kind of tough to scratch. Then once again, start at corner and get the other corner in place, and then you can just lay that on down. Make sure you kind of press around it so the glue's stuck in place. Then we'll flip this over and do our final 2 things to it. Then we'll go ahead and take our batteries and put them in here. Put this cover on here. And one of the most important parts, we want to apply our sticker, and I'm always terrible at this. There we go, we have our sticker, we have our batteries. Let's grab Lock and Chase, put that in there and turn this on. We have our nice little screen. So when we tap the top where we stuck that one little part, you can see it kind of changes the color of the screen a little bit. Whoa, that inverted the color. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this Game Boy Pocket coming back to life. If you enjoy videos like this, then please be sure to subscribe and leave a thumbs up and leave comments, all that kind of fun stuff. Let me know what kind of system you're looking at for customizing. I still have a Game Boy Color that I need to customize too. Oh, I'm about to get caught. Oh, got caught. But I thought it'd be kind of nice bringing this Game Boy Pocket back to life. So I hope you enjoyed this. Want to thank you for watching. Have a nice day.